12 elite alien commandos surrounded me. Every one of them was armed. Every one of them was female. And every one of them looked like they were deciding whether I deserved a quick death or a slow one. The strange part? I hadn't fired a weapon. I hadn't broken any rules. I hadn't even been inside their headquarters for 5 minutes. My only mistake was opening the wrong door. 3 hours earlier, I had been an ordinary maintenance technician from Earth looking for the logistics office aboard the Coalition's largest military station. One wrong turn. One corrupted personnel file. One administrative failure. That was all it took. Before this day ended, entire alien fleets would cross the galaxy hunting me. Not because I was a soldier. Not because I was a hero. But because of something humanity had forgotten. And the rest of the galaxy never had. My name is Ethan Cross. 26 years old. Occupation, orbital systems maintenance technician. Military experience? None. Combat training? 0. Luck? Running dangerously low. Coalition Fortress Aegis was the largest structure I had ever seen. It wasn't just a military station. It was a city wrapped around a moon-sized gravity ring, built from brilliant white alloy that reflected the nearby star until the entire fortress looked carved from light itself. Thousands of ships arrived every hour. Freighters. Warships. Science vessels. Diplomatic cruisers. Compared to Aegis, Earth's orbital stations looked like abandoned warehouses. This is either the beginning of my career, I stepped off the shuttle, or the beginning of a very embarrassing accident. A hovering service drone greeted me. Welcome Ethan Cross. Logistics Division. Building 9. Orientation Room C14. I smiled. See? Nice and simple. The universe immediately took that as a challenge. A solar storm struck the station. Emergency lights flickered. Navigation signs vanished. Maps disappeared. Several drones collided before apologizing to one another. The station AI calmly announced, "Navigation services are temporarily unavailable. We appreciate your patience." I don't. 25 minutes later, I had somehow wandered through 2 docking bays, an alien botanical garden, a weapons museum, and a cafeteria where something with 8 legs tried to order lunch before I could. This place needs better signs. Then I noticed a polished silver emblem beside a reinforced door. Below it, only 2 words appeared. Unit 9. Finally. The door opened. Silence swallowed me. Not empty silence. The kind that falls when every predator in the room notices fresh prey. The chamber was enormous. Weapon racks stretched across gleaming white walls. Power armor stood inside maintenance cradles. Combat drones rested along charging rails. A holographic battlefield rotated above a circular command table. Then 12 alien women turned to face me. I forgot how breathing worked. One stood nearly 7 feet tall, her silver skin gleaming like liquid metal. Another had sapphire blue skin, 4 graceful arms, and glowing violet tattoos. A crimson-skinned warrior rested an energy hammer across one shoulder, as casually as someone carrying an umbrella. Another calmly cleaned an impossibly long sniper rifle. Several wore scars. Every one of them carried themselves with the effortless confidence of someone who had survived far too many impossible battles. I smiled weakly. Hi. Nobody answered. The sniper looked me up and down. Human. The giant silver warrior crossed her arms. Lust. The woman with 4 arms tilted her head. Civilian. The crimson giant grinned. I'll give him 30 seconds before he faints. I heard that. You were supposed to. Several of them laughed. Well, at least they had a sense of humor. A woman with snow-white hair stepped forward. Unlike the others, she carried no visible weapon. She didn't need one. Everything about her said she was the most dangerous person in the room. Golden eyes locked onto mine. Identify yourself. Ethan Cross. Assignment. Logistics. Current objective. Finding someone who knows where logistics actually is. A few smiles appeared. Very small ones. The commander activated a holographic personnel file. She read it. Paused. Read it again. Then frowned. Impossible. I've been told that before. I wasn't speaking to you. She expanded the record for everyone to see. My stomach immediately sank. Galactic Coalition. Ethan Cross. Species, Kuman. Security clearance, Omega Black. Unit assignment, Valkyrie Strike Company. Status, permanent combat integration. The room became silent again. I blinked twice. That definitely isn't mine. It carries your biometric signature. I'm a maintenance technician. You are assigned to Valkyrie Strike Company. I repair environmental systems. You are listed as an elite operative. I unclog coolant pipes. You legally belong here. I respectfully disagree. You legally do not. Laughter echoed around the room. The Crimson Warrior walked closer. So this is what humans look like. I was hoping for something more intimidating. I skipped breakfast. She laughed loudly. I like him. The sniper rolled her eyes. You like everyone. I do not. You tried adopting a battle drone. It followed me home. The commander cleared her throat. Instant silence. I pointed toward the glowing emblem outside. So? What exactly is Valkyrie Strike Company? The four-armed woman answered first. We are the Coalition's highest-ranked Special Operations Unit. The sniper added. Officially. The silver giant smiled. Unofficially. We're the unit commanders threaten their enemies with. The Crimson Warrior shrugged. 98% mission success. The other 2%? I asked. We attended their funerals. I swallowed. Can I transfer back to plumbing? No. What if I ask politely? No. What if I panic? You already are. Before I could defend myself, sparks burst from one of the powered combat suits behind us. Warning lights flashed. The suit's right arm locked into firing position. Engineers rushed over. One cursed. The thermal regulator failed again. It'll overload. The commander frowned. You've been working on that for days. We've replaced everything. I found myself walking toward it. Ethan. The commander's voice stopped everyone. What are you doing? I knelt beside the open maintenance panel. You're replacing the wrong system. The engineer looked offended. I have 12 years of experience. I know. I pointed at a tiny coolant manifold. But this valve is installed backward. He stared. That's impossible. I traced the flow path with my finger. Not if the factory calibrated it for lunar gravity before shipping it here. Silence. The engineer blinked. That would create thermal feedback. Exactly. I rotated the valve. Reset the regulator. The suit powered down instantly. No sparks. No alarms. The room became uncomfortably quiet. The engineer slowly checked the diagnostics. Green. Every system. He looked at me. We've spent 72 hours trying to solve that. I shrugged. Machines don't care who built them. The commander watched me differently now. Not as a paperwork mistake. As a puzzle. Then every light in headquarters turned crimson. Emergency sirens roared across Fortress Aegis. A massive tactical display filled the room. Unknown contacts appeared. Hundreds. Then thousands. The station AI spoke. Emergency alert. Hostile hyperspace signatures detected. Estimated vessels. The AI paused. 1,312. Even the Valkyries stopped joking. Identify them, the commander ordered. Unable. Impossible. Another voice interrupted. Not the station AI. A transmission. Deep. Calm. Ancient. We seek only one prize. A single sentence appeared across every display. Surrender the human. The room slowly turned toward me. I raised both hands. I know this sounds unlikely, but I've never met any of these people. Outside the observation window, hyperspace tore open again. 5 different imperial fleets emerged. Empires that had spent centuries trying to annihilate one another. Today, they had united. For one human maintenance technician. The commander's wrist console chimed. A classified file unlocked itself. No password. No authorization request. Only my presence. She opened it. Her expression hardened. The title alone froze the room. Project Homecoming. The first sentence appeared. If this file has opened, events are already beyond recovery. The second. The human known as Ethan Cross must never fall into enemy hands. The third stole the breath from everyone in the room. His assignment to Valkyrie Strike Company was intentional. I stared at the screen. You've got to be kidding me. The commander closed the file. Then she looked directly at her squad. Listen carefully. Her voice was calm. Absolute. From this moment forward. She drew her sidearm. Ethan Cross is under Valkyrie protection. Outside, the first enemy battleship fired. The fortress shook. And the war for one forgotten human officially began. The first thing Commander Lyra did after declaring me under Valkyrie protection was point a pistol at my chest. Do not misunderstand my decision. I blinked. I wasn't planning to. You are alive because Coalition Command believes you have value. Comforting. If that changes. She lowered the weapon only slightly. I will personally escort you out of this unit. Braca, the massive red-skinned heavy assault specialist, laughed loud enough to shake the room. I like her speeches. Kaylee, the lavender-haired sniper, sighed. They're getting shorter. They're becoming more efficient. They're becoming more threatening. Also true. Despite the war alarms echoing through Fortress Aegis, several Valkyries exchanged amused looks. It was oddly comforting. Apparently even the deadliest soldiers in the galaxy teased one another. Outside the panoramic window, hundreds of Coalition cruisers were already leaving their docks. Fighter squadrons poured into space like swarms of silver insects. Beyond them, the 5 hostile armadas continued advancing. Nobody fired another shot. Not yet. They were waiting. Watching. Almost as if they expected something else to happen first. That unsettled Lyra more than the fleets themselves. A tactical officer hurried into the command room. Commander. She saluted sharply. Supreme Strategic Command has issued emergency orders. Lyra accepted the data crystal. The room became silent. She read for nearly 30 seconds. Then looked directly at me. They've transferred him to us. I frowned. What? The paperwork is no longer a mistake. Braca burst into laughter. The human joined us for 5 minutes and command gave up trying to fix it. I'd like to object. Denied. I haven't even signed anything. Neris, the blue-skinned engineer, looked over the authorization. You did. When? When your biometric scan activated. I was just checking in. You accidentally accepted permanent reassignment. Humans have terrible software. No. She smiled for the first time. You have terrible luck. Another alarm interrupted them. Not external. Internal. A security breach. Red icons appeared across the holographic station map. Unknown life forms. Sector 21. Maintenance tunnels. Sector 12. Cargo elevators. Engineering. They're inside the station, Alira said. Lyra's expression hardened instantly. They bypassed the fleet. Kaylee zoomed the tactical display. No. They never intended to attack with the fleets. The room fell silent. The fleets are a distraction. Every pair of eyes turned toward me. They're sending someone after Ethan. Within seconds, Valkyrie headquarters transformed. Weapons lockers opened automatically. Power armor sealed around each warrior with mechanical precision. The casual joking disappeared. This wasn't the squad I'd met 10 minutes earlier. These women moved with frightening synchronization. Nobody shouted. Nobody hesitated. Each knew exactly where to stand. Exactly what to grab. Exactly who covered whom. Braca caught an enormous magnetic cannon as it descended from the ceiling. Kaylee checked her sniper rifle without looking. Illyra activated twin plasma blades. Vexa secured a compact medical drone to her shoulder. Nares pulled a portable engineering pack onto her back. Even Naira, who had barely spoken, unfolded a shimmering energy bow. Lyra looked at me. You stay behind. I don't think they'll let me. They won't reach you. Commander. Naris interrupted. The infiltrators entered through Maintenance Sector 7. I frowned. Sector 7? Everyone looked at me. I worked there this morning. Naris enlarged the map. You recognize it? I helped inspect the coolant network. She zoomed further. What about these access tunnels? My stomach tightened. Oh no. What? I pointed toward a thin maintenance conduit hidden beneath the station's shield generators. Those tunnels aren't on your military maps. They're civilian utility routes. Could infiltrators use them? They could bypass half your security. The room went completely quiet. Nara slowly looked at Lyra. He's right. Our scanners don't even monitor those passages. Braca whistled. Well, the tiny human just found the enemy. Lyra immediately changed the battle plan. New objective. She highlighted the civilian tunnels. We intercept here. Kaylee frowned. That's nearly 3 kilometers shorter. Exactly. The sniper actually smiled. I was wondering why this felt too easy. Within seconds, every tactical route updated. Coalition security forces were still racing toward the wrong sectors. Only Valkyrie Strike Company was moving toward the actual interception point. I scratched my head. Shouldn't we tell everyone? We already did, Lyra answered. They'll receive the update in 37 seconds. Why not immediately? Military bureaucracy. Even in space? Especially in space. Braca suddenly tossed something toward me. I barely caught it. A compact gray vest. What is this? Protection. It weighs 20 kilograms. It's the light one. I think your definition of light is broken. Braca grinned. You'll build character. I'd rather build air conditioners. As everyone prepared to leave, Lyra stopped beside me. You notice something none of our tactical computers did. I repair infrastructure. You think differently. I think like someone who doesn't want pipes exploding. That mindset just saved hundreds of soldiers. For the first time, the commander wasn't looking at me like paperwork. She was evaluating me as part of the team. Not a soldier. Not yet. But something equally valuable. Then every light flickered. For less than a second. The station AI went silent. Completely silent. Naris frowned. That's impossible. Before anyone could react, every monitor across headquarters turned black. One by one. Then a single face appeared. An older alien. Silver eyes. Dark ceremonial armor. Perfectly calm. He looked directly into the camera. And smiled. My name, he paused deliberately, is Admiral Veyros. His gaze settled on me. Human. I have crossed half the galaxy to bring you home. The room froze. Even Lyra looked stunned. I had never seen this man before. Yet somehow, he looked at me with the certainty of someone greeting an old friend. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The command room had become so quiet that I could hear the station's ventilation humming through the walls. Admiral Veyros remained perfectly still on every screen. His expression wasn't cruel. It wasn't angry. If anything, he looked relieved. I know this must be confusing, he said calmly. But none of this was ever your fault. I stared at him, I have absolutely no idea who you are. I expected that. You crossed half the galaxy for the wrong human. No. His silver eyes never left mine. We crossed half the galaxy for the last human. A chill ran through the room. Braca slowly tightened her grip on her magnetic cannon. Kaylee's sniper rifle rose almost silently. Lyra stepped in front of me without taking her eyes off the screen. You are addressing Coalition territory, she said. You will surrender immediately. Veyros smiled politely. Commander Lyra. Her eyes narrowed. You know my name. I know every Valkyrie who has ever lived. The room became noticeably colder. Neris whispered. That's classified. Veyros ignored everyone except me. Ethan. I can take you home. I already have a home. You have a planet. His voice became quieter. I am offering you your people. My heart skipped. What people? The transmission ended. Every monitor returned to normal. Silence filled the headquarters. Finally Braca broke it. I officially dislike him. Kaylee nodded. Agreed. The station AI returned. Emergency update. Hostile infiltration confirmed. Unknown biological signatures detected. Distance to Valkyrie headquarters. The AI paused. 112 meters. Everyone looks toward the corridor. Lyra spoke only one word. Positions. The room exploded into motion. Kaylee disappeared onto an elevated firing platform overlooking the entrance. Braca dragged heavy barricades across the corridor. Vexa activated shimmering medical drones. Illyra ignited twin plasma blades. Nyris silently climbed onto the upper balcony, disappearing into the shadows. Neris locked down every blast door. I looked around. What should I do? Braca pointed toward a corner. Try not to die. I was hoping for a slightly more active role. You'll get one if everything goes horribly wrong. That isn't reassuring. It wasn't meant to be. Then? The lights failed. Not completely. Just enough for the room to fall into deep shadows. A metallic scraping echoed through the ventilation ducts. Everyone froze. Another sound. Closer. Scratch. 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 Even Braca stopped smiling. Neris checked the sensors. They're inside the walls. How many? I don't know. Estimate. She swallowed. Too many. Suddenly, the ceiling above the entrance burst inward. Black armored figures dropped into the corridor. Not soldiers. Something else. Tall. Silent. Their armor absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Each carried curved energy blades unlike anything I'd ever seen. The lead figure looked around the room, then pointed directly at me. There. No speeches. No demands. Just one command. Capture him. The corridor erupted. Kaylee fired first. Her rifle cracked like thunder. The lead infiltrator twisted unnaturally, avoiding the shot by less than an inch. Braca answered with her magnetic cannon. The blast punched straight through the wall. The infiltrators scattered with impossible speed. They're fast, Braca shouted. They are trained, Lyra corrected. She launched forward. Her movements were almost impossible to follow. One precise strike. An enemy weapon split in half. Another. A kick sent an infiltrator crashing through a weapons rack. Illyra fought beside her like flowing water. The Valkyries weren't simply stronger than ordinary soldiers. They fought as though they shared one mind. Every movement covered someone else's weakness. Every attack created another opening. I had never seen teamwork like it. Then I noticed something. One infiltrator wasn't attacking. He had slipped away from the battle. Toward the engineering consoles. Toward the station's shield controls. Neris. She glanced over. What? That one's not after me. She followed my finger. Her eyes widened. The shield generator. Without hesitation, she sprinted across the room. Too late. The infiltrator slammed a device into the console. Every light flickered. Warning messages exploded across every display. Outer defense grid offline. Hangar shields failing. Hyperspace interdiction disabled. The entire station shook violently. Outside the window, enemy assault ships surged forward. "They're opening a corridor," Neris shouted. "They're trying to bring in reinforcements." The infiltrator smiled beneath his helmet. Mission accomplished. Before anyone could reach him, he activated a teleport beacon. A column of black light surrounded him. "No," Lyra shouted. He vanished, leaving only the small device still attached to the console. Everyone turned toward it. Neris immediately knelt beside the machine. "I can't stop it." "Why?" "It's rewriting the entire defense network." "How long?" She looked at the countdown. 30 seconds. Braca cursed. "If those shields fall, thousands of enemy troops will board the station." Neris worked faster. Nothing. The countdown continued. 27. 26. 25. I walked over. "Neris." "Not now. I've seen something like this. This is alien military encryption. It's also connected to a coolant distribution system." She stopped typing. "What?" I pointed toward the energy routing tubes. "They built the hacking device to survive overheating." So it has an emergency thermal bypass." Understanding flashed across her face. "If we overload the coolant, the device will disconnect itself before it melts." She stared at me. "That would interrupt the hack. But it would also flood this room." Braca laughed. "I've been wetter." Lyra didn't hesitate. "Do it." Neris slammed both hands onto the controls. Coolant surged through the emergency pipes. The room filled with freezing white vapor. The alien device shrieked. Its protective systems activated automatically. Exactly as I expected. Connection lost. The countdown stopped. 1 second remained. Silence. The shield grid roared back to life. Outside, enemy assault ships slammed into the restored defensive barrier, exploding into brilliant spheres of blue fire. The entire room stared at me. Neris slowly stood. "You just outsmarted technology that's centuries ahead of ours." I shrugged. "Machines panic when they overheat." Braca burst into booming laughter. "I told you. The tiny human belongs here." Even Kaylee smiled. "Barely. But it was there." Commander Lyra looked at me for several long seconds. Then she spoke the words I never expected to hear. "Ethan Cross." She extended her hand. "Welcome to Valkyrie Strike Company." For a moment, despite the war, despite the danger, despite 5 enemy empires waiting outside, I actually smiled. Then the station AI spoke again. Its voice sounded different. Almost frightened. "Emergency priority. Unauthorized access detected. Project Homecoming archives." A pause. "Have been opened." Everyone looks toward the central screen. One sentence appeared. "Genetic match confirmed." Below it, another line slowly materialized. "The first gate can now be activated." The room fell silent. I looked at the words. Then at Lyra. "What gate?" Nobody answered. Because nobody knew. The words on the central display refused to disappear. "Genetic match confirmed. The first gate can now be activated." Nobody spoke. Even Braca, who usually had a joke ready for every situation, stared silently at the glowing message. Finally, Ethan cleared his throat. "I'm starting to miss fixing air conditioners." Braca laughed. "There he is. Our engineer is back." The tension eased for exactly 1 second. Then every screen inside Valkyrie headquarters switched to emergency mode. The station AI spoke. "Priority 1. Enemy boarding vessels have breached the outer defensive grid. Estimated hostile troops A pause. 8,000. Braca whistled. They're finally serious. Kaylee calmly loaded another magazine into her rifle. I was wondering when the warm-up would end. Commander Lyra looked around the room. Status. Neris expanded the tactical map. The hologram filled the room. Red icons spread through Fortress Aegis like a disease. They've captured docking rings 2 and 4. Engineering is still secure. Medical deck has fallen. They're pushing toward Central Command. Vexa frowned. They're avoiding civilians. Everyone looked at her. They aren't killing anyone. They're only disabling resistance. Braca scratched her head. That's unusual. Lyra nodded. They're not invading. They're searching. Every eye slowly turned toward Ethan. He sighed. I know. I hate being the answer too. Before anyone could continue, another transmission interrupted. Not from the enemy. From Coalition High Command. The face of Supreme Marshal Arden appeared above the table. An elderly alien with silver markings across his face. His expression carried something Ethan hadn't expected. Fear. Not fear of losing the battle. Fear of losing him. Commander Lyra. Sir. You have new orders. The Marshal looked directly at Ethan. No matter the cost. The human must survive. Braca folded her arms. That part we figured out. The Marshal ignored the interruption. If Fortress Aegis falls, destroy Project Homecoming. Ethan frowned. I'd really like someone to explain what that is. The Marshal closed his eyes. I wish I could. Then the transmission ended. No explanation. No answers. Only more questions. Braca punched the table. I hate classified information. Kaylee nodded. It usually means someone else already made a terrible decision. Suddenly, Neris froze. Commander? What? I found something. She zoomed into the tactical display. The enemy wasn't attacking randomly. Their movements formed a pattern. They're converging. Toward what? The archive. Lyra's expression changed instantly. No. Braca looked confused. What's the archive? Nobody answered. Lyra looked at Ethan. You stay here. I'm getting tired of hearing that. This isn't a request. It never is. 5 minutes later. Valkyrie strike companies sprinted through the brilliant white corridors of Fortress Aegis. Emergency lights flashed overhead. Coalition soldiers rushed in every direction. Medical drones carried the wounded. Engineers sealed damaged bulkheads. Smoke drifted through the ventilation shafts. Yet despite the chaos, the Valkyries moved with perfect discipline. They never slowed. Never hesitated. Every hallway became another battlefield already solved in their minds. Ethan struggled to keep up. Braca looked over her shoulder. You still alive? Barely. Good. We're just getting started. The archive sat beneath the oldest section of the fortress. Unlike the rest of Aegis, this corridor wasn't bright white. The walls were polished blackstone. Ancient symbols glowed softly beneath transparent alloy. Ethan frowned. This doesn't look Coalition. It isn't, Lyra answered. It's older. How much older? No one knows. Even Neris looked uncomfortable. We built the station around it. That sentence stopped Ethan cold. You mean the station wasn't built first? No. The archive was. A strange feeling settled in Ethan's chest. For reasons he couldn't explain. The hallway felt familiar. Not familiar because he'd seen it before. Familiar because something deep inside him recognized it. As they approached the massive circular door, the symbols suddenly began glowing brighter. Blue. Then gold. Then brilliant white. Neris checked every scanner. Commander. It's reacting. To what? She slowly looked at Ethan. Him. The enormous door rumbled. without anyone touching it, without power, without authorization. It began opening. Every Valkyrie immediately raised her weapons. Braca stepped in front. Kaylee aimed into the darkness. Lyra drew her pistol. The door opened just enough for a single voice to echo out. Not electronic. Not mechanical. Ancient. Welcome home. Everyone froze. Ethan's blood ran cold. The voice spoke again. Ethan Cross. Nobody had said his name. Nobody had entered the room. Yet something inside the archive had known exactly who he was. Braca whispered, "I don't like this." For once. Nobody disagreed. Inside the chamber stood a single object. Not a weapon. Not a computer. A massive circular gateway built from brilliant white metal. Dozens of floating rings slowly rotated around its center. Blue energy pulsed across symbols older than every civilization in the coalition. Ethan couldn't stop staring. He had never seen it before. Yet somehow, he knew exactly what it was. The words escaped his mouth before he realized he was speaking. It's not a weapon. Everyone looked at him. It's... His heartbeat accelerated. A doorway. The chamber suddenly came alive. Every ring began spinning faster. Blue light flooded the room. The station AI screamed through every speaker. Warning. The first gate is activating. Then, a familiar voice echoed behind them. Come. Confident. You found it. Commander Lyra slowly turned. Standing at the end of the corridor, surrounded by dozens of elite black-armored soldiers, was Admiral Veyros himself. He smiled at Ethan. I've been waiting for you. The corridor fell silent. Even the distant explosions echoing through Fortress Aegis seemed to disappear. Admiral Veyros stood at the far end of the ancient hallway, surrounded by nearly 50 black-armored honor guards. None of them raised their weapons. None of them looked at the Valkyries. Every pair of eyes remained fixed on Ethan. Veyros smiled. Not the smile of a conqueror. The smile of someone who had finally found what he had spent decades searching for. I have crossed 42 sectors for this moment. Braca leveled her magnetic cannon. Take one more step. I've been looking for an excuse to fire this. Veyros barely glanced at her. You won't. Braca grinned. Oh? The blast would destabilize the gate. You kill the very person you've sworn to protect. For the first time. Braca hesitated. Lyra noticed immediately. Hold your fire. Kaylee never lowered her rifle. Permission to shoot the Admiral. Denied. I dislike that answer. Veyros slowly stepped forward. His guards remained behind. I did not come to wage war against the Coalition. Lyra's silver eyes narrowed. You invaded our strongest fortress. I came for one man. He looked directly at Ethan. You. Ethan folded his arms. I don't even know you. No. But your ancestors knew mine. The ancient gate pulsed again. Blue light washed across the chamber. Every symbol on its surface brightened. The AI voice echoed once more. Genetic authorization maintained. Primary error detected. Neris whispered. Primary error? Veyros nodded slowly. Now you understand why every empire came. Ethan stared at the massive structure. I don't. Veyros sighed. Of course you don't. When humanity disappeared from the stars, history was rewritten. Images suddenly appeared above the gate. Ancient holograms. A civilization unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. Massive white cities floating above oceans. Orbital rings surrounding entire planets. Ships folding space without hyperspace drives. Children laughing beneath twin suns. Humans. Millions of them. The room froze. Ethan stepped closer. They're human. Yes. The first starfaring civilization. Lyra looked at the holograms in disbelief. Impossible. The coalition teaches that the ancients vanished millions of years before modern civilization. They did, Veyros answered quietly. But they didn't vanish. They left. The hologram shifted. Entire human fleets entered enormous circular gates. Planet after planet disappeared. Not destroyed. Evacuated. One final human remained behind. He activated the last gate. Then the network shut down. Veyros continued. The human civilization believed another galactic extinction was coming. So they built the gate network. They departed. And they locked every gate. To one genetic bloodline. Everyone slowly turned toward Ethan. He stared at the projection. No. Veyros nodded. Yes. The gates respond only to descendants of those left behind. Braca looked at Ethan. You. I fix ventilation systems. You are also. Veyros finished the sentence. The last living key. Nobody spoke. The weight of those words settled over the chamber. Ethan laughed nervously. This has to be some kind of mistake. The paperwork already made one. It isn't making another. I can't even remember my grandparents. You don't need to. The gate remembers. The massive rings accelerated. Blue energy roared louder. The floor trembled. Outside the chamber. The battle intensified. The fortress shook violently. Kaylee touched her communicator. Commander. The enemy has broken through Deck 11. Braca frowned. They're coming here. All of them. Lyra made her decision instantly. Valkyries. Defensive formation. The squad moved without hesitation. Braca planted her magnetic cannon in the center of the corridor. Kaylee climbed onto the ancient stone arch above the gate. Naira disappeared into the shadows. Alira ignited her twin plasma blades. Vexa activated every medical drone she carried. Neris connected portable shield generators around the chamber. Ethan watched them in disbelief. You still trust me? Lyra looked at him. I don't know who your ancestors were. I don't know why every empire wants you. She chambered a fresh energy cell into her pistol. But I know one thing. You have saved my squad twice today. She stepped between Ethan and the approaching army. That's enough. For the first time, Ethan didn't feel like a civilian. He felt like he belonged. The first explosion shattered the corridor entrance. Black-armored soldiers flooded into the chamber. Dozens. Then hundreds. Kaylee fired. Her rifle echoed like thunder. One enemy fell. Then another. Braca's magnetic cannon roared. Entire sections of the corridor disappeared. Illyra moved like flowing light. Naira's glowing arrows struck targets nobody else had even noticed. The Valkyries fought like legends. But the enemy kept coming. Too many. Far too many. Then Ethan noticed something. The gate. Every blast nearby made its energy fluctuate. Neris. She turned while blocking incoming fire. What? The gate is absorbing the impacts. She scanned it. You're right. Every energy weapon is charging it. Her eyes widened. Oh no. Lyra shouted over the battle. What is it? Neris looked horrified. If this continues, the gate will open completely. Veyros lowered his weapon. Almost reverently. Exactly. He looked at Ethan. You were never meant to choose between us. You were meant to choose humanity. The final defense barrier collapsed. Hundreds of enemy troops surged forward. Braca screamed. Commander. We can't hold them. Lyra looked at Ethan. Then at the gate. Then back at Ethan. For the first time since they met, she wasn't giving an order. She was asking, what do we do? Ethan looked at the glowing rings. At the symbols. At the impossible machine that somehow felt familiar. His heart pounded. An image flashed through his mind. Not a memory. A feeling. His hand. Pressed against the center ring. Without understanding why, he stepped toward the gate. "Ethan!" Lyra shouted. He ignored the screams. Ignored the battle. Ignored the bullets flying overhead. His palm touched the ancient metal. Everything stopped. The battlefield. The explosions. The shouting. Time itself seemed to freeze. A single sentence echoed inside his mind. "Welcome home, commander of Earth's last fleet." Ethan's eyes widened. The gate exploded with blinding white light. Every soldier, friend and enemy alike, was thrown backward. When the light faded, the chamber was empty. The gate stood open. And Ethan Cross was gone. Silence. Not the silence of empty space. Not the silence after an explosion. A different silence. One that fell alive. Ethan slowly opened his eyes. The battlefield was gone. No explosions. No gunfire. No fortress sieges. Instead, he stood on a bridge suspended above an endless sea of stars. There was no ceiling. No walls. Only thousands of glowing pathways stretching into infinity like rivers of light. Every path connected another colossal circular gate. Millions of them. The entire galaxy, woven together by an impossible network. "What?" His voice echoed forever. "Is this place?" A calm voice answered behind him. "It is home." Ethan turned. An elderly man stood there. Human. Not alien. Not a hologram. Human. Silver hair. Kind eyes. A simple white uniform with no medals. No weapons. No insignia. Just one embroidered symbol over his chest. "Earth?" Ethan stared. "You're human?" The old man smiled. "Yes. So are you." Ethan's heart pounded. "Who are you?" "My name is Elias. The final caretaker." "Of what?" The old man slowly gestured around them. The human gate network. Millions of stars shimmered beneath his hand. "This is everything humanity left behind." Back inside Fortress Aegis, Commander Lyra slammed another energy magazine into her pistol. The gate had closed. Ethan had vanished. The enemy stopped firing. Every soldier, coalition and imperial alike. They all stared at the silent portal. Admiral Veyros slowly removed his helmet. He looked heartbroken. Braca lowered her cannon. "You knew this would happen." Veyros nodded. "I prayed it wouldn't." Lyra stepped between him and the gate. "Bring him back." "I can't." "You opened it." "I merely found the key." The Admiral looked at the silent portal. Only Ethan can choose what happens next. Inside the gate network, Elias led Ethan across the bridge. Every step caused tiny lights to bloom beneath their feet. Ethan looked toward the nearest gate. Beyond it, he saw Earth. Not modern Earth. Ancient Earth. Cities floated in the sky. Orbital elevators reached into space. Children played beneath shimmering energy shields. Human ships crossed the atmosphere without engines. "It wasn't supposed to end this way," Elias whispered. "What happened?" Elias sighed. "The galaxy." He raised one hand. The stars around them shifted. Ancient memories appeared. Young civilizations. Thousands of them. Different species. Different worlds. Different languages. Constant war. Empire against empire. Planet against planet. Ethan watched fleets burn. Entire civilizations vanish. For thousands of years, Elias said quietly, every intelligent species believed survival required domination. So humanity fought them? The old man smiled sadly. "No. We did something far more dangerous." The stars shifted again. Human ships arrived at countless worlds. Not with armies. With engineers. Doctors. Teachers. Scientists. food, technology. They rebuilt broken civilizations. Shared medicine. Shared knowledge. Shared energy. Former enemies began trading. Then cooperating. Then becoming allies. Ethan watched ancient enemies embrace. Wait. We united them. Elias nodded. Exactly. But then why leave? Elias stopped walking. Because unity frightened those who profited from division. More memories appeared. A hidden alliance. Ancient rulers. Powerful dynasties. Secret organizations. They feared one thing. A united galaxy. So they attacked humanity. No. They attacked everyone. Civilizations blamed one another. Wars returned. Human colonies burned. Entire systems vanished. We could have won. Elias looked toward the endless stars. Our fleets were stronger. Our technology greater. So why didn't we fight? Because winning would have destroyed the very galaxy we were trying to save. Ethan slowly understood. You left. We disappeared. So everyone else could survive. Elias smiled. For thousands of years. Yes. Back on Fortress Aegis. The battle had become another kind of war. A waiting war. No one fired. No one moved. Every eye remained fixed on the silent gate. Braca looked at Lyra. What now? Lyra answered immediately. We wait. Kaylee looked surprised. That's your plan? No. It's Ethan's. Admiral Veyros slowly approached. He stopped several meters away. You trust him? Lyra never looked away from the gate. He has earned it. Veyros smiled faintly. So did humanity. Inside the gate network, Elias stopped before an enormous observation platform. Ethan's breath caught. Beyond the transparent barrier, millions of ships waited. Silent. Perfectly preserved. Every size imaginable. Scouts. Cruisers. Colossal carriers. World-sized command ships. The largest fleet ever assembled. None showed signs of damage. None showed signs of age. They had simply waited. For us, Ethan whispered. For you. Elias looked at the fleet. When humanity departed, someone had to stay behind. You. Yes. I promised your ancestors. I would wait until the last descendant returned. Ethan looked across the endless armada. I don't know how to command any of this. You don't have to. Elias smiled. The fleet already knows its commander. Suddenly, the stars flickered. A warning echoed across the gate network. Foreign energy detected. Gate collapse imminent. Elias' smile disappeared. They've done it. What? The fighting outside. The gate is becoming unstable. Can you stop it? No. But you can. How? The old caretaker looked directly into Ethan's eyes. The same way your ancestors always did. Choose. Before Ethan could ask what that meant, the entire gate network shook violently. One by one, the ancient ships began powering up. Millions of lights awakened simultaneously. The impossible fleet had finally received a commander. Millions of lights ignited. One after another. Then another. Then another. The darkness beyond the observation platform slowly transformed into an ocean of white. Every dormant ship awakened simultaneously. Not with roaring engines. Not with blinding explosions. With quiet purpose. Ethan stood speechless. The largest fleet in history had been asleep for thousands of years. Now, it was waiting for a single command. I can't do this. Elias smiled. Good. Ethan looked at him. What? The wrong person would have said. I was born for this. He placed a gentle hand on Ethan's shoulder. The right person says, I don't know how. Because they'll ask for help. Back on Fortress Aegis, the ancient gate trembled. Hairline fractures of blue light spread across its rings. The station AI spoke. Warning. Dimensional instability increasing. Estimated containment failure. 45 seconds. Braca looks toward Lyra. If that thing explodes, there won't be a fortress left. Lyra never moved. Ethan, she whispered so quietly that only Kaylee heard. Come home. Admiral Veyros lowered his head. He had spent 40 years searching for humanity's final descendant. Yet now, he hoped Ethan would never return. Because he knew the choice waiting beyond the gate. Inside the human gate network. Ethan looked across the endless armada. I still don't understand. My ancestors left all this. They could have ruled the galaxy. They could have conquered everyone. Elias chuckled. And become exactly what they opposed. He shook his head. No. We built these ships, so no civilization would ever need them. The fleet suddenly projected thousands of holograms. Every human captain. Every explorer. Every engineer. Every doctor. Every teacher. Ordinary people. Not kings. Not conquerors. Families. Children. Scientists. Rescue crews. The fleet had never been designed for domination. It had been built to protect. Ethan felt tears forming. This isn't a war fleet. Elias smiled proudly. It never was. The holograms merged into one message. Recorded thousands of years ago. A young woman appeared. She wore the same Earth symbol as Elias. If you are seeing this, then humanity has not disappeared. We survived. Because one day, someone chose kindness over fear. She smiled gently. If that someone is you, welcome home. The recording ended. Silence returned. Suddenly, the gate network shook violently. Red warning symbols filled the stars. Connection failing. Reality breach imminent. Elias looked toward the collapsing pathways. There isn't much time. Ethan nodded slowly. I know what I have to do. Back on Fortress Aegis, the gate exploded with blinding white light. Every soldier raised an arm to shield their eyes. The chamber trembled. Energy surged through every wall. Every weapon. Every ship in orbit. Then, someone stepped out. Ethan. Dirty. Exhausted. Exactly as he had entered. No glowing armor. No superhuman powers. Just Ethan. Commander Lyra smiled for the first time. Not a small smile. A real one. You came back. I said I would. Veyros stepped forward. What did you choose? Ethan looked around the chamber. At Coalition soldiers. Imperial soldiers. The Valkyries. The ancient gate. Then he smiled. I chose. All of you. Everyone looked confused. Then, every display aboard Fortress Aegis activated. Every screen. Every communicator. Every ship. Across the entire galaxy. The same image appeared. Millions of ancient human vessels exiting gates above countless worlds. Not firing. Not attacking. Simply arriving. The impossible fleet had returned. Panic spread instantly. Coalition admirals prepared for war. Imperial fleets armed every weapon. Planetary defenses activated. Ethan stepped toward the central communications console. Patch me through. The operator stared. To who? He smiled. Everyone. Moments later, every intelligent civilization in the galaxy heard the same voice. My name is Ethan Cross. I'm from Earth. I'm not here to conquer anyone. He paused. My ancestors made one mistake. They believed peace could be protected by disappearing. I'm not repeating it. Behind him, millions of ancient ships held position. Silent. patient, watching. If you wish for war, you will find humanity standing together. If you wish for peace, you'll find us standing beside you. The transmission ended. No threats. No ultimatums. Just a promise. Silence spread across the galaxy. Then, one Imperial cruiser powered down its weapons. Another followed. Then another. Coalition ships did the same. Within minutes, thousands of fleets lowered their guns. For the first time in recorded history, no one fired. Admiral Veyros slowly walked toward Ethan. I spent my life believing humanity would return as rulers. Ethan smiled. We're terrible at ruling. Braca laughed. I believe him. Veyros extended his hand. Then allow me to welcome humanity home. Ethan shook it. One by one. Every commander in the chamber did the same. Enemies. Allies. Strangers. No treaties. No ceremonies. Just a handshake. Several weeks later, Fortress Aegis had become something entirely different. Not the Coalition's greatest military fortress. The galaxy's first interstellar academy. Engineers from 100 civilizations worked together. Doctors shared medical breakthroughs. Scientists explored the reopened gate network. Children from dozens of worlds played together in the same gardens. Commander Lyra stood beside the observation window. You never became a soldier. Ethan smiled. I told you. I fixed things. She looked across the peaceful station. You fixed more than machines. Braca walked into the room carrying 2 enormous mugs. I still think he'd survive Valkyrie training. Kaylee shrugged. I give him 3 days. Nera smiled. He'd redesign the obstacle course. Vexa looked up from her datapad and somehow convinced the instructors it was more efficient. Everyone laughed. Even Lyra. Ethan looked through the panoramic window. Hundreds of human ships drifted peacefully beside Coalition and Imperial vessels. Not above them. Not below them. Beside them. Exactly where they belonged. He smiled. Maybe humanity's greatest invention had never been the gates. Or the fleet. Or impossible technology. Maybe it had always been the simple belief that strangers could become neighbors. And that hope was powerful enough to change a galaxy. 6 months later, no one called it Fortress Aegis anymore. The station still floated above the same blue world. Its white towers still reflected the light of distant suns. Its docking rings were still large enough to welcome entire fleets. But nothing else was the same. The missile factories had become research laboratories. The military academies had become universities. Hangars that once launched interceptors now welcomed exploration ships, medical transports, and scientific expeditions from hundreds of civilizations. Where warships had once stood in perfect formation, children now chased one another beneath holographic constellations. The Coalition officially renamed the station the Interstellar Academy. No one objected. The old name belonged to another age. Engineering Bay 7 was unusually quiet. A small maintenance drone hovered upside down while someone tightened the final bolt holding one of its stabilizers in place. The drone emitted an impatient series of electronic chirps. I know. The mechanic beneath it sighed. I'm almost finished. Another irritated beep. I said almost. The drone beeped louder. You are the most dramatic machine I've ever repaired. The drone finally floated upright. It spun in a happy circle before cheerfully zipping away. The mechanic smiled. You're welcome, Commander Ethan Cross. The man who commanded the largest fleet in recorded history looked down at the grease covering his hands, then wiped them on the same gray maintenance jumpsuit he had worn the day he accidentally walked through the wrong door. Some habits refuse to change. You know? Commander Lyra said from the doorway. I've stopped asking why. Ethan looked up. About what? Why every time I find you, you're repairing something. He shrugged. Because things break. She walked beside him. You could command worlds. I'd rather fix what's in front of me. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Beyond the workshop window, hundreds of ships drifted peacefully together. Coalition cruisers, Imperial carriers, ancient human vessels. None pointed weapons at one another. For the first time in recorded history, they simply shared the same sky. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridor. Braca entered carrying 2 oversized mugs. I found him. She looked at Lyra. I told you he'd be hiding in engineering. She handed one mug to Ethan. I still think you'd survive Valkyrie training. Kaylee appeared behind her. Without looking up, she replied. No. Braca groaned. Why not? He'd redesign the obstacle course. Neris walked in carrying a stack of engineering reports. He already did. Everyone looked at Ethan. He shrugged again. The old one wasted too much walking. Braca threw both hands into the air. You optimize everything. I optimize problems. The workshop doors slid open. A nervous young cadet stepped inside. Human. Maybe 19. Brand new academy uniform. Clearly lost. He looked around before spotting Ethan. Excuse me, sir. I'm trying to find logistics. Ethan froze. For a second, he simply stared. Then he laughed. Not loudly. Just enough for everyone else to wonder why. Braca frowned. What? Ethan shook his head. Nothing. He remembered another day. Another station. Another wrong turn. Another door. He pointed down the corridor. Logistics is that way. The cadet smiled with relief. Thank you, Commander. He hurried toward the exit. Then stopped. There are 2 doors. Which one? Ethan looks toward the hallway. One led directly to logistics. The other led to Valkyrie headquarters. Commander Lyra quietly folded her arms. She already knew exactly what he was thinking. Ethan smiled. A familiar smile. You know? I think I know a shortcut. Lyra closed her eyes. Oh no. Braca burst into laughter. I like where this is going. Kaylee sighed. We're adopting another one, aren't we? Neris smiled. The paperwork is going to be spectacular. The confused cadet looked between them. Should I be worried? Ethan grinned. Probably. The workshop erupted into laughter. Even Lyra couldn't hide a smile. Outside, the stars stretched farther than anyone could see. Ancient human ships sailed beside coalition fleets. Former enemies explored the unknown together. Not because history had been forgotten, but because someone had chosen to build something better. Humanity's greatest achievement had never been the Gate Network, or the last fleet, or technology beyond imagination. It had always been something much simpler. The courage to open a door, and the kindness to welcome whoever walked through it. Some doors changed your destination. One changed the galaxy.